Hey folks, welcome to Seaway Whiskey Wire. What if you could only choose from one distillery for the rest of your life? Well folks, that's exactly the question I'm going to answer tonight. The gauntlet has been thrown down, I have been challenged, so why don't you go watch the intro, come on back, and I'll break down my selection for you right now. Stick around, guys. Well, hey folks, thanks for coming back after the intro. I'm Tyler, and tonight at the bar I am taking on Jeff Whiskey's challenge of selecting only one distillery to go to for the rest of my life. A challenge that's been taking the Whisky-Tuber world by storm, literally. First off, before we get into my thoughts and opinions and get into my selection, I wanted to thank John, the whiskey neighbor, for the nomination and the tap there. Thank you very much, John. Really appreciate you thinking of me, and I am excited to share this list with not only you, but the rest of the viewing audience out there. So, this is a good challenge. Really, really interesting challenge. One of the more difficult challenges, I will definitely say, from my perspective. And, a lot of it has to do with the fact that over the last year and a bit, I have really, really expanded my horizons and trying all sorts of new whiskeys from different areas and, really exploring Canada as a whole for whiskey production. So I have got a lot to think about, a lot more to think about than I did just a year ago into my whiskey journey. So what can we do when we're thinking about this? Number one, I really, really enjoy my peat. So right off the get-go, I wanted to select Ardbeg. Now, Ardbeg, if you would have asked me this a year ago, I definitely would have selected Ardbeg as my choice, or definitely would have been in the higher echelon of the choices here. So many bold releases in their core range, from the Ugadel to the Coria Reckon to the one that started it all for me here on the channel, which is the 5-year-old Wee Beastie from them there. Just some beautiful, beautiful liquid and products in there. I really enjoy it. I still love Ardbeg. They will always have a permanent home on my shelf. The thing with Ardbeg is the special releases have kind of been lackluster in the past, and I think after a while I might just get wore out of the peat. My taste buds would have been just wore out of the peat, and I wanted to expand into something a little different. Then I thought I'd go a different avenue and say, what is a whiskey that I really enjoy sitting and sipping, and one that really transports me and takes me somewhere special? And that distillery would be Glenfarclas. So Glenfarclas holds kind of a near and dear spot in my heart. A few years ago, I participated in a very exclusive tasting where I tried the entirety of the Glenfarclas range, age range, minus the 12-year-old. So it's 15, the 25, the 35, and the 40. Actually, the 30 was in there too, now that I think of it. And we went through that all, and since then I've had a really, really near and dear spot in my heart for Glenfarclas. And I really enjoy the 15-year-old. It just transports me to a place of relaxation, of peace. I love those Christmas spices. I love those beautiful brooding red fruits that go with it. So Glenfarclas is one that I really, really thought about choosing as the one distillery that I would go back to for the rest of my life. The only issue I have with Glenfarclas, and they're a family-owned and operated company, which I love, but the maturation process is very much strictly sherry. Yes, they do some bourbon stuff. Yes, they do a little bit of port pipe stuff, but generally what they're doing, and what they're doing very well, is sherry maturation. So I wanted something with a little bit more of a variety in it. Then I kind of thought, I'll take the same route that every other YouTuber did, and I am going to say a Springbank. Now, Springbank is definitely one that I really, really have enjoyed. I'm working my way through this bottle here. I've got a couple bottles of the Long Grow up there. And the thing I like about Springbank is just that you've got a variety of brands or brands underneath the one head there with Springbank, Long Grow, and Hazelburn. So you can adjust that peat level. They've done some wicked special releases there through sherry, through wine, through port, all that kind of fun stuff there. And they're really, really a great example of maintaining things the way they've been for years and years. Have a traditional, beautiful process. Have a very honest product, and put together a really, really, really good liquid. And anybody would be a fool to not choose them as the one distillery to go back to for the rest of their life. However, being Canadian, I definitely have to consider some Canadian brands out there, some brands that have really spoke to me, some brands that have really, really moved me, and some liquid that has just wowed me from these guys. This is Sons of Vancouver. This is their wheated rye release. This is a regular series release. John, I know you chose to present the Realms of Rye, which is a limited release. This is a readily available release from Sons of Van. You go on the internet and buy it right now. I don't know how many times I've said that over the summer, but you definitely should go check them out and check out the wheated rye from Sons of Van. Beautiful, beautiful craft distillery doing some really awesome stuff. raising the bar for what I believe is what it means to be Canadian whiskey and what a Canadian whiskey craft is all about. And Sons of Vancouver are doing some wonderful stuff out there in North Vancouver, British Columbia. Naturally presented whiskeys from locally sourced products. Really, really interesting stuff. The amount of stuff they're doing with rye and the amount of flavors they're pulling out of rye are just amazing. And bar none, a distillery that you definitely need to check out, and it needs to be on your radar. But then I thought to myself, I'm a guy who enjoys a variety of whiskeys and a variety of styles of whiskeys. And you know, Sons of Vancouver is great, but they really focus more heavily on that rye, and they're also not that easy to get a hold of sometimes. So again, going back to variety and sticking with British Columbia, one that I was really compelled to look at was McAloney's, because McAloney's is making some great stuff. This is their peat project here, the single cask, ex-bourbon cask, smoked sugar kelp, Washington peat. Very, very formidable whiskey, very, very formidable island whiskey in Canada, and peated release indeed at 54 ppm. But McAloney's makes a variety of whiskeys, not just peated, but unpeated, Irish style whiskeys, and a vast assortment of cask maturations and finishes and such. So, you know, I was very compelled, and I took a very compelling argument, and this almost was my choice as the distillery that I would choose for the rest of my life. But it wasn't. So who was? Well, you know, much like John mentioned in his video, it was really the distillery that I would choose right now. Right now, who would I choose? What am I sipping more and more of, and what do I keep going back to more and more and more? You know, for that, I am choosing a distillery. I'm choosing a distillery that's Canadian. I'm choosing a distillery that's located right here in Ontario, not too far from the Seaway. Doing some innovative stuff, high quality releases, amazing single cask releases, and you know, beautiful presentation, pure and unadulterated. And if you haven't guessed who it is, my friends, I'll be right back with my choice. And my choice for one distillery for the rest of my life right now is going to be Last Straw Distillery out in Vaughan, Ontario, Canada. I got a bit of their stout whiskey here poured. Beautiful stuff, beautiful liquid here from Don and the team out there. Such a beautiful, beautiful, rich, decadent dram. The essence of stout beer in a glass. I just love it. 45% ABV, beautiful mouthfeel, just like drinking a really, really beautiful, rich, stout beer in there. Chocolate pudding, chocolate malty notes. I get some bananas in there, caramel notes, coffee, tobacco, just a little bit, but beautiful stuff. They're doing such innovative stuff out there at Last Straw. I've also got unopened a version of Southern Ontario Sippers amber whiskey here that I picked up on my trip up to Vaughan, where I got to meet Don and the team up there. Really, really excited about getting into that one. But again, you know, it's amber beer essence in there too, right, folks? And then we've got the Scorn whiskey, you know, some yellow Ontario corn, sprouted corn. That's where they get the name Scorn from. Again, locally sourced Ontario corn, beautiful product, finished in Portuguese wine casks. Really, really, really enjoying the Scorn. And then we got a nice alternative grain here. We've got the rice whiskey here, K2 Milling and Domaine de Redtail release here, but it's 100% Argentinian rice. And you know, I have yet to try anything from Last Straw that I have not given a passing or extremely high grade to. So, you know, right now, based on what I keep going back to and what I'm trying more and more and more of, and what I'm most excited about in the releases in the coming weeks, months, years, and I am urging you to go check out, is going to be Last Straw Distillery in Vaughan, Ontario, Canada. And you know, folks, this is a challenge. It's a YouTube challenge again that was put on by Jeff Whiskey, and you know, we all know Jeff. He slaps the bottle there, and any one of these would require a slap for sure. I'm going to put out a challenge to 2 other YouTubers now to give me their choice for one distillery for the rest of your life. Chris over at Short Pours, I am calling you to the carpet, buddy. I want you to put a list together, or I want you to give me your selection of who you would choose for one distillery to go to for the rest of your life and the reasons why. And then the gentlemen over at Canuck Whiskey. You guys are very active on Instagram, very active on my comments there. I love your videos, love the variety of stuff you guys are putting out. I would love to hear from you guys over there at Canuck Whiskey. So the challenge has been laid down, folks. I appreciate you guys checking out the video, and to Chris and the boys over at Canuck Whiskey, I look forward to seeing your videos. Well, folks, that about wraps it up for me. This was a heck of a challenge, and I really thank Jeff Whiskey for putting it together. I really thank John, the whiskey neighbor, for thinking of me and nominating me. And you know, this was a lot of fun, a lot of head scratching. I lost a lot of hair with all that head scratching to come down and compile this list. It was very difficult, very tough, but you know what? It's healthy to do that. It's great to go through your notes and reminisce and try and figure out who you would go to as a last distiller for the rest of your life. I chose Last Straw, but I encourage you guys to put who you would put down in that list. Who is your pick for the one distillery you would go to for the rest of your life? If you could only choose one, I'll tell you, it's a heck of a challenge, but it's a heck of a good time. With that, folks, thank you very much for tuning in. If you're still hanging on this long in the video, thank you very much. Really appreciate it. Love doing these videos for you guys, and I'm going to keep bringing them to you as often as I can. Well, folks, that about wraps up for me. Hopefully you enjoyed that one. This was a lot of fun, like I said. Cheers to your health, and I'll see you around. Bye for now, guys.